You know, I think perhaps the only thing that is possibly worse than people who are so fucking stupid that they think like Transformers 2 is an amazing movie and things like that are people who get into something that is old, you know, or you know, who was a fan of an original something that's remade, and then they can't embrace the new version of it, no matter how good it is, simply because it's not, you know, just like their old thing. Even if their old thing was remade faithfully, they would just bitch anyway. But when I watch something, I look for the inner core of like story structure and character development and ideas and that sort of thing, and how gripping it is. And the reason I bring this up is because I was looking at this news article about how they're going to make a new version, a remake of the original Battlestar Galactica. Now, if you've seen the new version, you know, and you've seen the original version, you know that there's a stark contrast between the two. But Bryan Singer, the guy who did X-Men, X-Men 2, and he's the executive producer of House, and he did a bunch of other movies. Some of them are really good, like what's the movie called? The Usual Suspects. He had tried to get it off the ground for a long time, and he's apparently just now getting it off the ground with the original creator of the show and that sort of stuff. And I read, so in this news article, below it was like the comment section and that sort of thing, and 99% of it, or a good chunk of it, was probably 80% of it was old school fans of the show complaining about the new show. 20% was, you know, or 18% was people defending the new show, and then there was like 2% of the people who were actually talking about the possibility of a remade Battlestar Galactica movie. But the problem with remaking something like that is that the original fans are just never going to be happy, because they don't care of the intrinsic merit and the story and the characters. No, oh my god, you made Starbuck a woman, heresy, burn Ron Moore alive. You know, to me, it reminds me of like religion, when you have a fundamentalist Christian, right? And they, you know, only Jesus said he was the way, the truth, and the life. Only Jesus said he was the Son of God. No other religion has any merit. You know, it's like they couldn't possibly think that any other religion shares any similarity to theirs, or that any other religion has any good ideas or anything meaningful to say to humanity. No. Only, you know, they gotta stick with their thing and not look at any other worldview, any other thought, any other critique of what they have to say. And even people complain about like the Batman movies, and some of the most ridiculous things I saw was like when people would be complaining about I think it was the X-Men movies or so, one of those comic book movies, and people are like, this isn't part of the established canon. In issue number 403 of X-Men, you know, it's just like they're making a movie. They have to give in to the demands of telling a story in the movie format, of introducing it to audiences who may not know all of the backstory, all 700 issues of X-Men. There's probably only more like 400, but whatever. The point is that, like, you know, people just can't appreciate when something, you know, the intrinsic merit of something, and they have to like panic because it's just not exactly what they want it to be. Especially if they have all these like overdrawn expectations and loyalties to, you know, former versions of, you know, former incarnations of whatever it is. I want to say for the record, if I ever create anything which, you know, becomes sort of like a Battlestar Galactica or a Batman or a Superman or whatever it is that is, you know, it gets reinvented from time to time, and you have people bitching and moaning about how, oh my god, this isn't true to Peter's vision, and this is a radical reinterpretation of the character, and I can't believe they made this character a woman. Please shoot them in the fucking head for me, please, for the love of Christ. you know, just trying to accept things for what they are. I mean, certainly there are remakes of things that just suck. That's absolutely true. But just because it's not the way you want it to be, and it's not the way you nostalgically remember that show you loved from your childhood, doesn't make it bad. I mean, like, the criticisms in the new show are, like, entirely baseless, like, oh, the first, you know, the opening lines of the show weren't as good as the original, and the opening score isn't as good, and, you know, like, all these old actors were better, and, you know, blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh, God. Jesus H. Christ on a crutch. Fanboys, they are a more benign manifestation of fundamentalism. Ugh.